again, my fiber friends. I'm Riri, and this is Exploration Crochet, brought to you by the Yarn Over Hook Network. You know, I haven't asked, but if you like what you've been hearing, please follow, rate, and share to help other crochet lovers find us. And now, if you love a good villain origin story and a better blanket, you're in the right place. Picture this. It's the 1960s. There's a 14-inch TV, a bowl of butterscotch candies, and a growing mountain of granny squares in electric orange and avocado green on the coffee table. Looking further, you see pattern leaflets promising modern ease, miracle washability, color fast cheer, and no moths. This is the moment acrylic yarn becomes a household word. Portable color, affordable warmth, and a brand new promise. You can spill a little life on this blanket and it will still love you tomorrow. Today, we're taking the working thread through acrylic's origin, the chemistry, the craft culture, and the controversies. So grab your hook, pop your TV dinner in the oven, and let's start at the beginning. Let's start with a clear definition and a vibe check. Honestly, acrylic yarn is neither hero nor villain. It's a product with specific strengths and limitations. In US standards, acrylic is a synthetic fiber whose polymer backbone is at least 85% acrylonitrile. When those acrylonitrile units are linked into long chains, chemists call the result polyacrylonitrile, or PAN, P-A-N. The goal is to deliver a wool-like experience, light, lofty, resilient, without absorbing much water. You'll also hear about close relatives, like mod acrylics that are 35 to 85% acrylonitrile. They are valued for inherent flame retardants and show up in faux furs, plush toys, wigs, and hair extensions. And then there are acrylic copolymers, where tiny amounts of other monomers are added to create parking spots for dye. That's how we get those saturated, reliable colors that make acrylic motif blankets and wearables pop. How does acrylic become yarn? First, the ingredient, acrylonitrile, made industrially from propylene. Through free radical polymerization, chemists link the small molecules into long PAN chains. Unlike some plastics, PAN doesn't melt into a neat liquid for extrusion, so mills dissolve it, traditionally in a solvent such as DMF, dimethylformamide, and spin it through minute holes called spinnerets. As the dope exits either into a wet bath or warm air, wet spinning or dry spinning, it solidifies into filaments. Those filaments are drawn, stretched, to align molecules for strength, then crimped to add bulk and bounce. Here's the field trick makers notice. The continuous filaments are often cut into short staple lengths, similar to wool fibers, and then spun into yarn. After washing, stretching, and drying, that engineered crimp behaves like tiny springs, trapping air for warmth and giving stitches a lively, elastic hand. You get the wool-adjacent vibe without lanolin and with much lower moisture intake. It can also be made to mimic other fibers, such as cotton, when spun on even shorter staple equipment. Some acrylic is also used in clothing as a less expensive alternative to cashmere. And finally, as a synthetic fiber, clothes moth's larvae are unable to digest it. Acrylic really is the workhorse of handcrafting fiber. A quick origin note. In 1941, DuPont announced the first commercial acrylic fibers and trademarked them Orlon. Development continued through the mid-1940s when DuPont first introduced this material to create a fabric that could be competitive with nylon in its properties. And widespread production took off in the 1950s after DuPont chemists solved the problem of the fibers not taking dyes. So, coloring methods sealed the deal. Mills can dye the finished fibers with cationic dyes when those copolymer dye sites are present, or they can dope dye, also called solution dye, by mixing pigment into the polymer solution before spinning. Dope dyed shades run deep. They resist fading and bleeding, and keep that neon chevron blanket singing after years on the couch. That timing matters culturally. Post war households wanted washable textiles and bold, consistent color. Exactly what acrylic delivered. So, what should a maker take away from all this? The vivid, repeatable color lots, the easy care labels, the loft without weight, and the budget friendly yardage weren't accidents. They were engineering choices. Acrylic excels when you want washable throws, bright color work, durable toys, and donation projects that must survive real life. Use it where its properties match the job. Avoid high heat applications, it is thermoplastic, and treat it as what it is, a thoughtfully designed fiber that expands not only the how, but what we can make. The lab groundwork happens in the 1930s and 40s. By the end of the 50s, acrylic steps into retail spotlight. Orlon from DuPont in the United States, Acrylic from Monsanto, Cortel in the UK, Dralon in Germany, and in the Soviet Nitron. And meanwhile, their mod acrylic cousins were carving a niche in flame resistant pile and plush. Ready to wear brands and home sewing columns quickly clocked what this meant for everyday wardrobes. You can see the headlines: Modern Miracle Fibers, soft as wool, washes like a dream. The 1950s and 60s are the great adoption. Department stores tout washer friendly sweaters, pattern leaflets trumpet bright, repeatable dye lots. In craft magazines, you can almost hear the sales pitch. Color that keeps its promise. From washer to wearer, no fuss. By the 1970s, crochet's color crazy boom, acrylic becomes the living room MVP. Think ripple afghans and citrus palettes and motif blankets marching across sofas. Afghan glory on a budget. Big color, bigger cozy. Yeah, acrylic is often budget friendly, but the secret sauce is the mix. Warmth without weight, machine washable, quick drying, moth proof. And that palette. Solution dyed lines didn't bleed. Lots matched. Your motif blanket looks like you meant it to look for years. For home decor editors, the reliability became a hook. Weekend makeovers, throw blankets that laugh at laundry. Culturally, acrylic and crochet fell in love because crochet loves a big canvas. Afghans, throws, motif explosions. And acrylic delivers yardage, color, and care on a realistic budget. Knitters tapped in for novelty textures and kid proof wardrobes. The stereotype acrylic equals crochet is cultural, not technical, but it stuck because the economics and care profile matched crochet's most visible projects. Under the hood, the appeal is engineered: drawn filaments for strength, crimped for loft, and copolymer parking spots for vivid color. That's why mid century copywriters could confidently promise what makers still enjoy: bright today, bright tomorrow, soft, strong, and Sunday easy. Acrylic's pitch hasn't really changed: reliable color, easy care, cozy results. Fast forward to now, and the pros haven't changed. Lightweight warmth, vivid colors, consistent lots, no lanolin, machine washable. But there have been improvements. Softer premium acrylics and anti pilling engineering. The cons are much the same too. Pilling in cheaper grades, thermoplastic, less breathable in hot, humid weather, and blocking behaves differently, and of course, environmental impacts and responsible use. A team at Plymouth University in the UK spent 12 months analyzing what happened when a number of synthetic materials were washed at different temperatures in domestic washing machines using different combinations of detergent. They were trying to quantify the microfibers shed. They found that acrylic was responsible for releasing nearly 730,000 tiny synthetic particles, microplastics, per wash, 5 times more than polyester cotton blend fabric, and nearly 1.5 times as many as pure polyester. Research and ecologist Mark Brown showed synthetic fiber waste over coastlines at a global scale, with the greatest concentration near sewage outflows. Of the man made material found on the shoreline, 85% were microfibers and matched the type of materials such as nylon and acrylic used in clothing. The secret is, so far as money allows, to only use acrylic yarn where it shines, afghans and throws or wall hangings because of the big yardage, amigurumi and toys because of shape retention and hues, charity makes so the care is easy for recipients, bold color work because of the reliable dye laws. We all need to think twice. We need to consider, can we use another fiber like cotton or wool? And for breathability and garments in hot climates, it just makes sense to try blends or plant fibers. Acrylic is fossil based. That's a fact. It doesn't biodegrade on human timetables. That's another fact. Washing sheds microfibers. That's a fact. So we have to mitigate those things by doing laundry savvy, washing full loads on gentle, using a bag and a filter, and air drying when possible. On the upside, dope dyeing can cut dye house wastewater significantly, but recycling is the frontier. Mechanical routes can downgrade quality while chemical recycling of pan is still in development. This is why intention matters. Choose projects that will be loved and used for years. Care for them well. Mend, rehome, and keep good makes in circulation. Whew, we've covered a lot of ground in answering this question regarding acrylic, friend or foe. I did want to touch on a couple of questions that I have received from people regarding acrylic. Firstly, I have used and I still do use acrylic yarns. I do believe that it has a place and a function, so it is part of my stash. Second question, why the squeak? Well, as I said earlier, because of the low moisture regain in acrylic and also the finish on some hooks, the two factors will create a squeak depending upon your tension. Premium anti-pilling lines and better engineered hooks will often solve that. Can you block acrylic? Yes. You can steam set it lightly, pin it first, hover steam over, don't touch with a hot iron, but don't be afraid to use a cool iron. And the final question, can you kill acrylic for drape? Yes, you can. Carefully. Because you have to remember you are trying to manipulate the fiber on a chemical level. So you can control the steam and the heat, and it will relax the structure. I strongly recommend testing on a swatch because it's a one-way trip. Once you've killed it, it's dead. If you found this week's episode entertaining or helpful, please leave a rating and share it with a fiber friend. You know, when acrylic came along, in a lot of ways, it democratized color and comfort. No, it's not a superhero, and no, it's not a villain. It's a tool. Use it wisely where it shines. Blankets, donation beanies, kid-proof amigurumi, yarn bombing, wall hangings, things that are intended to last and resist wear and tear. Wash, wear, repeat. I'm Riri, and this has been Exploration Crochet. Thanks for listening.
Sweat dripping, but I'm feeling